Hello and good evening. How did you like that little intro? I think I'll put on some music with that next time, but it's new. I'm just trying it out. So again, it's Tuesday, so I'm sending my weekly email to my email subscribers. That's everyone who's signed up to the Police Science Doctor email list. They get an email from me every Tuesday with these police science snippets into their inbox. And they also get access to the transcripts of each video on the policesciencedoctor.com website, as well as the snippets that I'm sending out as PDFs, so you can actually build up your own library if you want. If you're not on the email list yet, that's not a problem. You can sign up anytime. It's free. You're not going to get any spam, and you can unsubscribe if you change your mind. Just go to policesciencedoctor.com and put your details into the sign-up form at the bottom of the page, or the form will also pop up. So what I selected for you this week is a snippet on psychological vulnerabilities. And it's quite a long one, much longer than usual, but there's lots of stats in there. So taken together, what it all means is that maybe around 50% of suspects that are in police stations may be classed as psychologically vulnerable because of mental health issues or their intellectual quotient, their IQ scores. And what that means is that there's a high probability, if you're a police officer, that you're going to be in contact with people who have psychological vulnerabilities, mental health issues, low IQ scores. And the effect that that may have on you is that when you speak to them and you interview them as a witness, as a suspect, as a victim, in whatever capacity, there is a risk, or there's quite a high chance that the information processing may not be quite what you might expect. So I'm just going to read from here. Encoding new memories can take longer than usual for this particular group of people. Information may often be absent or incomplete when retrieved. So these kind of things are sometimes seen as cues of deception in interviews. So the reason why I've put this in there is because I just want you to be aware that if you're speaking to someone and they're being a bit sketchy and they're being a bit imprecise, and you may have assumed, or you may be assuming that that could be because they're telling a lie and they're trying to come up with something, but actually, depending on their mental and cognitive functioning, it may not be that they're telling a lie. It may be that they're actually not quite being able to use their brain in the way that you might like them to. So that's something for you to think about, and maybe think back to some people you dealt with, and just consider were they being untruthful, were they being nervous, or were they actually being psychologically vulnerable. The second snippet is sounds like quite a fun study. So they showed they took some subjects, some people who took part in the research, and they asked them if you were reading a statement written in whatever normal language, and it contains no swear words, would you feel that's quite genuine or not? And if it did have swear words, would you think that's what do you think? What do you anticipate your impression to be? And people tended to say that actually, if it contains swear words, I think it'll be less likely that it's genuine and that it's true. When they put it to the test, when they then asked people to read statements, and one group of statements had swear words in it and the other group of statements didn't have swear words in it, it actually turned out that the opposite was true. That those statements with swear words in it were given more credence, and they seemed to be perceived as more genuine. So the reason why is it's not just for fun that I want you to have a think about that, but when you take someone's statement and they're swearing, and you as a statement taker, it is your job to capture their evidence in the best way possible. Maybe you thought, because this is going to court, solicitors are going to see this, and depending on how serious the case is, a jury might get to hear this. Maybe you consider taking out the swear words or leaving them out. Based on this research, though, would you want to do that? Because it seems, at least based on this study, that it might actually make it appear more genuine, more heartfelt, and more human, the statement, if it does contain the original language and the expressive words that the person used to express how they felt at the time that they were providing the statement. So the link to this paper is in there as well. It's not open access, unfortunately, so you probably will only be able to see the abstract. But maybe if you want to read more about this particular piece of research, maybe you can request your police agency or someone who can get you access to that. But I thought it was quite interesting. And the last snippet for today is on lie detection. So again, it's quite a common perception that changes in how somebody behaves or speaks during an interview. So when you compare it to the beginning of the interview to when you then start asking critical questions, that these kind of changes may be indicative of deception, that the person is trying to lie to you, because all of a sudden they're having to come up with information that they can't retrieve from memory of something that actually happened, but they need to make it up. So the cognitive load is increased when you're lying, and it is thought that and to some extent it's true that changes in speech and behavior are indicative of lying. However, this particular study found that the way that the interviewer, as in the police officer or the investigator, is asking questions can cause these kind of changes. So again, I'd like you to look at this so you can reflect on, okay, how do I ask questions? How do I come across? Do I ask questions in one way at one point during the interview and then a different way during a different point in the interview? And so just be aware of how you can affect the interviewee, because how the interviewee comes across either to you or other people who will watch the recording of the interview or read the transcript of the interview can have a big impact on that person. So these were the science snippets for this week. I hope there was something of them that interested you. If you are someone who reads research and you've got something that you think might be interesting to people like you to hear about, please send it in to me and maybe it will be included in one of the future science snippets. Until then, toodaloo.